He chose the forgotten on purpose. Jesus was closest to the poor, the rejected, the hurting, the elderly, and the disabled for a reason, and it wasn't random or accidental. It was intentional and deeply rooted in his mission and message. He didn't just drift toward these people. He chose them, he stood with them, he uplifted them, not because others didn't matter, but because these were the very people society had already pushed aside, ignored, judged, and treated like they were less than human. He came to restore dignity where it had been stripped away, to heal what the world had broken, and to flip upside down the false values that place worth on money, power, and status instead of the soul. Open book key Bible verses and what they mean. Luke 4:18-19 says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to proclaim freedom for the captives and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free." This wasn't just a statement, it was a declaration of purpose. Jesus was making it clear from the beginning that his mission was for the broken, the overlooked, the ones society forgot about, and when he said poor, he wasn't only talking about financial struggle, he was speaking about those who are spiritually empty, emotionally crushed, and socially rejected, people who feel like they have nothing left and no one standing with them. Matthew 9:12-13 says, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Here Jesus compares himself to a doctor, and that hits deep because a real doctor doesn't sit around waiting for healthy people. A doctor goes where the sickness is, where the pain is, where the need is greatest, and that's exactly what Jesus did. He didn't chase power, status, or approval. He went straight into the mess, into the lives of people who were hurting, judged, and cast aside, because that's where healing was needed the most. Matthew 25:40 says, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." This is one of the strongest statements he ever made because it removes all excuses. It means the way you treat the most vulnerable people is the way you are treating him directly. The poor, the disabled, the elderly, the rejected, they are not invisible to God, they are not forgotten. They carry value and dignity, and Jesus makes it clear that they represent something sacred, something that demands respect, compassion, and action. James 2:5 says, "Has not God chosen those who are poor in the eyes of the world to be rich in faith?" This shows a truth people don't always want to face, that those who lack in worldly things often carry a deeper faith, a stronger dependence on God, because when everything else is stripped away, faith becomes real, not just words, not just performance, but survival, trust, and connection. Their lack in material things often creates strength in spirit that the comfortable don't always understand. Isaiah 57:15 says, "I live with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit." This shows where God's presence truly rests, not in pride, not in status, not in those who think they have it all together, but in humility, in brokenness, in people who know they need help, because those are the ones open enough to receive him. So were they his people? The honest answer is yes and no. Yes, because he identified deeply with the poor and oppressed. He was born into humility. He lived without wealth. He experienced rejection, betrayal, and pain. He walked in their reality. He understood their struggle. But also no, because his message was never limited. He came for everyone, every background, every status, every person. The invitation was always open. But here's the deeper truth that people don't always want to admit. The ones who knew they needed help were the ones who received him the most. While the powerful, the proud, and the self-sufficient often rejected him, not because they weren't invited, but because they didn't believe they needed saving, and that's where everything shifts. Jesus wasn't playing favorites, he was correcting injustice. He was confronting a system that valued people based on power and status, and he turned that upside down by moving toward those who were ignored, judged, labeled as less than, and treated like they didn't matter. Because real love doesn't stay comfortable, real love goes where it's needed the most, even when it's messy, even when it's unpopular. And that message still stands right now, louder than ever. God sees the people others overlook. Worth is not measured by money, appearance, ability, or status. Compassion is not optional, it's central, it's the standard, and here's the part that challenges people the most. If we say we follow him, then we don't just admire what he did, we live it. We show up for the same kinds of people. We stand with the overlooked. We speak for the silenced. We treat people with dignity even when the world tells us they don't deserve it. Because that's the difference between talking about love and actually living it. Please feel free to follow, subscribe, comment, like, and share. This helps you to stay connected to me, and it helps me to remain here creating more content for you. Thank you, love, always, Maria DC Santiago.